The city has come out with a new report on the gaps affecting Boston's workforce. That means everything from racial gaps and wage gaps to gaps in skills needed for jobs. To talk about the report are the director of the Office of Workforce Development, Trinh Nguyen, and a senior researcher and economist from the Boston Redevelopment Authority, Matthew Resseger. Thank you both very much for being with us. Start with Matthew. Talk about the numbers you have here, because we're seeing this pattern very widely about the vanishing middle and the enlarged up and down. So what does that look like in Boston?
Yeah, so the sort of headline by the median wage for people who have worked in the last 12 months in Boston, $35,273. That number is really unchanged since 1990 if you adjust for inflation. So the same patterns we're seeing at the national level in terms of sort of stagnant wages for the bottom half of the distribution. Really. Very much the same patterns here in Boston, and so Boston. One of the good things we see, the unemployment rate falling. It's been under 5% in the city for over a year now. It's at 4.1% as of December. But vast disparities between racial groups, as you say. 16 to 24-year-olds, almost twice that. Averaging over the last 5 years, black unemployment 1.7 times the citywide average. Some neighborhoods, tracts in Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, up to 3 times the citywide average, over that 5-year period. So, it's really, we see, evidence of Boston's economy booming in a lot of ways, but, what we're really trying to move the focus to here is about whether that, sharing that, how that can be shared. And I think workforce development, is a big piece of that.
Trinh Nguyen, talk about just that one part of it, closing the skills gap. How do you do that?
Yep. So I think what Matt has talked about in terms of the labor report is that we see a large boom in jobs in the last year, but most of that growth has been in low-wage jobs. And so we've seen a large population of Boston residents obtaining and holding those low-wage jobs. So one of the things that our office in the city is doing, the mayor's doing, is really focusing not just on rapid job placements, but more on long-term outcomes and career paths. For example, once you enter into the entry level, is there a way in which you can move up that ladder, which requires employer engagement and incumbent worker training? We also want to see quality jobs. So quality job means that, once you get in, that job pays, let's say, minimally living wage and or with benefits and career options, such as employers really investing in the educational attainment and credentials of that worker, so that worker can either move up the ladder within the company or move out and move up. And so that's one of the strategies that we're working on. The other piece is Matt's point about the strong correlation of education and higher incomes is really important. And so the city is really focusing on, working with the Boston Public High Schools to make sure that dual enrollments are enhanced and also encouraged. And so while young people are still in high school, they can earn college credits so that they can matriculate those credits into community colleges or their colleges of choice. And then not only that, but ensuring that college completion happens. And then once the student has completed college, making sure that the institutions and the partners are there to make sure that the young people get the right career paths and into a job. And so we really have to take that long-term approach, and that's a big investment for the city, and that's something that we're willing to make, and the mayor's really stands by it.
Matthew, I know we have very high-paying jobs. We have dead-end jobs, but what about jobs in the middle that help people move up? Does Boston have much to offer?
Yeah. So if we, as Trinh mentioned, if we look at sort of what's been growing, there have been a few different industries that we've seen a lot of growth in. One is accommodation and food service, which is has the lowest median wage of sort of the large industry sectors, and so that brings up the challenges that she's talking about building career pathways within those industries. If you look at some of the other industries, I mean, professional and technical services, a lot of the high tech jobs, obviously, that's at the high end of the income distribution and employing upwards of sort of 80% of people with BAs in that. And so getting back to your question, health and construction are two industries we've seen growth in and hope to continue to see growth in. I mean, healthcare is really one of the core sectors of the Boston economy, and those are places that have an opportunity for more middle wage jobs that we see currently, and jobs that employ people not necessarily with a BA. So so healthcare, it runs the gamut, obviously, employing plenty of people with very highly credentialed people like doctors, a spectrum of different licensing programs and so forth that could, that associate's degrees feed towards, that are available, with certificate programs. And so I think those, if you look at where the middle wage jobs are in terms of what we're looking at in the current economy, I mean, I think those are some of the places you would really look.
Trinh, what about some of the other barriers? Because you could have a working single mom who wants to go to school too, but there's no preschool. I mean, you've got to do something about things like that.
So there are a couple of strategies, actually three. One is that when you it's always best when you do the program intervention at a young age. And so one of the things that the city has done is we've launched a children's savings account, or a CSA, in 5 elementary schools. So we want to start young and create a college-going culture. And so that is starting, starting on fall 2016. We hope to roll it out to all of the schools by fall of 2019. So we have a long-term plan. And then we also have an intermediate plan, which is the one that I've spoken earlier about, working with Boston Public High Schools in dual enrollment programs. The last leg that we're working on requires much more support, and what we called a bundled support model, which is coupling workforce investment training programs with income support, with supportive housing, with educational attainment. And so that career path is really important. And all the research shows that once you have that bundle service, you'll more likely, the participants are more likely to gain increase in job retention, increase in upward mobility, increase in educational attainment. And so the key is really focusing on systems alignment, collaborations with our nonprofit partners to make sure that those alignments happen and that it's on a trajectory towards a career path. And so you're right, Chris, it's not that simple, it's not siloed. And so the key is comprehensive long-term investment, and all the partners have to be at the table.
All right, thank you both very much, Trinh Nguyen and Matthew Resseger. In a moment, we'll tell you about an event celebrating women's history.